right, so recording here a little bit later than normal. My apologies. Tuesday morning for our weekly Patriots kind of film-focused review of their last game. I got back on a red-eye Sunday night from Vegas, before that in Tucson, before that in Phoenix. And the Patriots game against the Raiders, as we all know, will not stay in Vegas. It's going to come back with them because they are 7-7, and that game will live in infamy, at least in recent Patriots history. Some wanted to go NFL history. Look, I don't care to go down the entire catalog of football stupidity. It's a sport that's over 100 years old, but we all know what that play was and what it meant for the Patriots season, which is now, if they want to extend it into the playoffs, those hopes are on life support. You're looking about 20% according to 538. You need to win at least 2 of 3 from Cincinnati on Saturday, Miami on New Year's Day, Buffalo on January 7th or 8th, and you need to get all 3 to guarantee yourself a playoff spot. Now, I don't care to focus a whole lot in that last play. We're going to touch on it in a second, and we're going to go down my film notes. Huge mailbag here today, probably more of a therapy session as we get into what happened on Sunday. But ultimately, the value of that game, now 2 days removed from all the hysteria and understandable frustration about this team and what happened, is what it means moving forward. Now, we just covered what it did to their playoff chances. Had the Patriots won, their playoff odds would have been up to about 64%, and you're feeling really good winning 2 out of 3 and getting into the playoffs. That's obviously off the table. What I'm talking about is next season. And I'm not looking ahead to the draft. I'm not talking about free agency. It's all the changes that everyone's been hinting at or talking about. The noise gets louder and louder and louder the last couple of weeks, because at this point, the Patriots have shown you who they are, and you need to trust them on this. This is a 7-7 team that is routinely making more pre-snap penalties on offense than anybody else in the league. And when you look at Las Vegas, we need to start in the obvious place, which is, of course, Winston Churchill late in World War II, who said, never let a good crisis go to waste. Now, that last play was plain and simple a boneheaded play, the most boneheaded play in recent Patriots history. Jacoby Myers, Ramondre Stevenson literally gave away, at worst, was a tie. And people want to use this game as kind of a vehicle for any priors they had about this offense. You don't like Mac Jones? He was 13-31, 112 yards. The guy sucks. Numbers say it right there. Second worst adjusted completion percentage of his career, 53%. Meaning when you take away the throwaways, the drops and the spikes, he's only getting the ball on time and in place half the time. You think it's on the coaching? That Raiders defense was worst in the league against the pass by DVOA. And you score one offensive touchdown there in the fourth quarter, thanks to Myers and Stevenson going on late. Where was the game plan here? Or you think it's all in the receivers? Look, it'd be hard to argue against you on Sunday. You know who led the Patriots in catches? That would be Pierre Strong. He had 3, a rookie running back from South Dakota State. 3 catches, 12 yards, everyone else below him. And you look at someone like Nelson Agholor, 1 catch. 1 single catch, a screen for 3 yards on 6 targets. Couldn't separate from anybody against the worst pass defense in the league. Here's the thing, though. It's all bad. It's all so bad. There is no single explanation. Whatever you came into that game feeling, you are only further emboldened. I'm here to say, put the blame on everybody, because this was so bad, and it has been so bad. You could almost forgive Jacoby Myers, Ramondre Stevenson, for losing the game, or at least giving away a tie on that last play, because that's all it was. It was a boneheaded play, an unexpected, unplanned, improvised lateral to another lateral that led to disaster, because the Patriots are not in that game. The Patriots are not even in this playoff conversation without them. 2 longest plays of the day on the previous drive, or 2 drives earlier. Stevenson scores a touchdown, career high 172 yards. They're the only bright lights in this entire offense. Don't absolve them of all the blame, but just know it's not on the quarterback. It's on the coaching. It's not on the weapons. It's on everybody. And that's how bad it was. That the worst play here, you could almost forgive. One of the dumbest plays in NFL history, you could almost forgive because of everything that led up to it. On Sunday, and in the Patriots 13 games before this, in what is a true crisis on offense, from top to bottom. So for the Patriots, they need to look at this, obviously, and evaluate everything, starting with the coaching. Of course, Matt Patricia cannot return as a de facto offensive coordinator, certainly not the offensive play caller. You need a better quarterbacks coach in there. In my full-on film review, which I spent all day doing yesterday after the red eye, going to bed at midnight. I didn't want to jump into this and not have my thoughts all collected. They're all there. You can read them. His footwork was a mess. Those first two misses, simple out routes. His favorite route as a rookie, one of his highest, safest routes that he's been throwing. Any quarterback does. Airmailed. His footwork was a mess. It's a fundamental thing that Joe Judge has been preaching as his quarterback's coach. And one of the few things you can drill as an inexperienced coach, the fundamentals and techniques. Forget all the fluff. Forget all the stuff in the edges, all of the situational third down, arm angle stuff you want to change off platform. No, just have your feet pointed in the correct direction, and Mac Jones couldn't do it. You need to evaluate that. You need to look Mac as obviously your franchise quarterback. I don't want to get into that conversation, but I will say he believes he could have had the 55-yard Hail Mary. I could go either way, whether they should have attempted that. If you wanted to take a shot, that was certainly the better play to try to score. If you want to kneel the clock out, just kneel the clock out. He underthrew Nelson Aguilar on a 50-yard bomb in the middle of the fourth quarter that if he had gotten an extra 5 or 10 yards behind that, goes for a touchdown. He was behind Ron Harmon, the safety. He was behind Amik Robertson, the corner, and he had to come back to the ball. Aguilar did, and it was incomplete. So it's not the same situation. It's not an analogous one-for-one with Hail Mary, but you look at some of the arm strength and talent across the league, and the ceiling questions we had about Mac coming into the draft before he's even in New England are surfacing here and there. Bottom line, full top-down evaluation of this offensive operation, which is the worst offense since Bill Belichick's first year in 2000, and probably going further, DVOA would tell you back to 1995. It's a disaster. It's held them back. And somehow they're actually 7-7. So these episodes, as you know, the good, the bad, after losses, instead of game balls, we need to talk. And then it's what would NFL film say in the aforementioned mailbag. But it's a disaster, catastrophic loss. And it was all brought on by the offense. They couldn't score. And the two guys that made that happen and gave it away. Because ultimately, look, Myers is a smart kid. He knows better. He was incredibly accountable, and he deserves all of the Twitter acknowledgement that he got after that game. People like myself, Chris Mason, other people on the beat, but you just can't have it. But when you lean on guys like him or a second-year player in Ramondre Stevenson, young players inevitably are going to make these mistakes more than veterans. And right now, you just don't have the personnel to lead on because Aguilar's not producing. Kendrick Bourne had yet another drop. Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith are in witness protection, save for Henry's drop and a couple more targets for him. It's just bad. Okay, on to the good. I mentioned they're 7-7 somehow. This is obviously due to the defense. And when you look in that second half, before the Raiders come back, and Derek Carr goes, 81 yards, touchdown. We all saw it. Keelan Cole's toe was out of bounds. It was by a hair. The officials said they couldn't overturn it because they didn't have enough evidence. The photo I saw was not available to them at the time, but indeed he was out of bounds. Patriots had two adjustments that held the Raiders in that second half, A, scoreless, and B, to 2.2 yards per play. And they were these. One, they pivoted to more zone coverage. They got burned in two key plays in the first half playing man-to-man. Adrian Phillips slips on the touchdown to Darren Waller. Before that same drive, Keelan Cole, long dig route, man-to-man versus Miles Bryant. We all knew the Raiders had better weapons than the Patriots did defensive backs, and that was especially true when Jalen Mills got ruled out and then Jack Jones was out pregame. So they pivot and play some more zone. And then they also stuck with some more nickel personnel because Josh McDaniels trots out these, 6 offensive lineman packages. And hello, Jakob Johnson, old friend, with all the fullbacks and 21 personnel. The Patriots responded to that with more base defense. So your old 3-4 alignment. And what they did in the second half was said, okay, that might be better at stopping the run in Josh Jacobs, but we're really limited from a coverage standpoint of what we can do. We're not having Jamie Collins and Anthony Jennings and Jelani Tavai matching up man-to-man. They know we're in zone, and they'll get us either off play action or some are simpler routes over the middle, against this zone, some zone beater concepts. But if we go play our 3 safety stuff or a little bit of 3 corner and stop the run well enough, that unlocks every coverage we could want to run. And that's what worked. The pass rush feasted because they stopped them on early downs, and Derek Carr was consistently in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, sometimes 3rd and 12, because the Raiders had actually more offensive penalties than the Patriots, 13 total for the game, which was highest in the NFL this season. And so more zone, more nickel to stop the run and then lock down the pass. The problem was the pass rush just gave out here in the second. I guess we're already spilling into the bad, but you deserve to know what happened in the lead up to the Ramondre Stevenson play and Jacoby Myers. They had one single pressure on that last drive out of 9 dropbacks. And before that drive, they had been getting to Derek Carr on 2 out of every 5, 40%. So 40% drops down to 11% because your pass rush just tired out. You don't have the horses. They were still playing mostly zone. You even had some concepts where, they singled up Devontae Adams in the backside on a 3-by-1 when he's a solo receiver. And then the 3 guys to the opposite side were all covered in zone. It's just, you give that offense with that much talent enough times, the dam is going to break. And incorrect call or not, that's what happens because the pass rush just couldn't get home. Part of that pass rush, though, back to the good. Juwan Bentley, 10 tackles, 2 pressures, a sack. And Gerard Mayo said a couple of weeks ago in a Zoom with reporters that he doesn't understand why Juwan Bentley doesn't get as much love. Well, here it is, Gerard. Juwan Bentley has been a top 3 defender at worst. You could argue top 2 for the Patriots over the last 2 months. Matt Judon has started, at least his production has started to fade down the stretch. 1 pressure against the Raiders, 1 against the Bills a couple of weeks ago. Josh Uche obviously coming on, really helped by 3 sack games against the Jets and the Cardinals, which is really boosting that season-long sack total. Juwan Bentley, on the other hand, has been steady Eddie. And partly this is a coaching decision to blitz him more than the Patriots ever have before. He entered that Bills game on December 1st, having already blitzed this season more than in any other year beforehand. Okay. And he's getting home. I mentioned the sack, the 2 hurries. Part of that is by design. Patriots were dropping Judon off the edge, understanding the Raiders were going to slide their protection to the edge. That freed up space in the middle. Boom. There comes Juwan Bentley. Bentley also has been covering much better and obviously doing his duties against the run. Now, he's going to be good for 1 play every couple of weeks where he just gets his ankles broken because the dude's 6'3" and 250. But the instincts, as I've said before, keep him a step ahead of a lot of those plays and make up for that kind of lack of straight line speed or agility. And when you get a guy now in his prime who's building up that experience, which is only going to enhance those instincts and take it a half second to maybe 3/4 of a second faster, and he's just bull rushing you and building out his pass rush, he is a very good linebacker and has been for the last 2 months. The only other contenders for the kind of best Patriots player on that side of the ball during that time would be Judon and Josh Uche, and that's it. Elsewhere, Lawrence Guy, nice game. He also had 2 pressures, also had a half sack. Bentley had the full sack, but Lawrence Guy did a lot of the dirty work, as you would expect for an interior lineman on early downs. And it was especially obvious versus some of these zone runs that Josh McDaniels kept going to on that left side. And they didn't target Matt Judon as much as you expect, like Minnesota did on early downs, running at him to kind of wear him out. But Guy was getting penetration, very quick reaction to these plays where, again, you see the offensive line flowing all in the same direction, pulling guards or, tight ends going backside or whatever it might be, any sort of trap or power or counter plays. What you saw was Guy recognizing that and trying to get penetration. You don't want the running back just to be allowed to make a read based on how the offensive line is making the defense flow and either cut back or hit it straight on, or go all the way back and bounce it. So credit to Lawrence Guy. Not as good of a game for Devon Godchild. That's now 2 in a row. I would even say maybe 3 going back to Buffalo for him. And this is a player the Patriots extended preseason, something that we were a little skeptical of in the pod at the time. But Lawrence Guy, credit to him, did a lot of the dirty work on early downs. Last one, offensive line. Talk about another surprise good here. They allowed 5 pressures of Mac Jones. By my count, that put him just over 20% for the game. Perfectly palatable number in today's NFL, and especially against the 2 guys, Max Crosby and Chandler Jones, who, my understanding, were the only 2 guys the Patriots offensive staff really game planned for the entire week down in Arizona. And they gave some help to Connor McDermott at right tackle, chips from running backs as you expect, tight end staying into double team on occasion. McDermott gave up 2 pressures, 2 quarterback hits. Trent Brown allowed a hurry and a quarterback hit to Chandler Jones, who hit him with this half spin move and then spun all the way back, kind of like a fake spin, and then went back to his traditional edge rush. But overall, a good job. And also a decent job run blocking where, I mentioned Ramondre Stevenson, 172 yards. It was a career high. 126 of those were after contact. But on the counter runs where, if you notice a guard pulling, and it's not always counter, it could be power. The difference is if you see a guard pulling out ahead of the running back and he's hitting a guy unblocked on the end of the line of scrimmage, That's counter. Power is when you see the guard pulling and he goes up and through to the second level to hit a linebacker because the tight end has taken the guy at the end of the line of scrimmage. So power is a lineman coming up to the second level to grab a linebacker, really more of a lead block. Counter is to hit the guy who's unblocked at the end of the line of scrimmage. So those runs were working very well. And no surprise, we've been talking about man block runs versus zone for this offense for a long time. Thought the O-line deserved a shout out because it doesn't happen a whole lot. And they came to play against the Raiders and cleared room for a lot of necessary rushing yards. Out of the bad, Mac Jones. He was the center of my film review. And I mentioned the footwork. You look at his first two incompletions, the miss to Jonnu Smith on second and goal at the 1 on a little corner route where Smith was wide open. It's the most fundamental thing about footwork. You just need your feet pointed, not necessarily your toe, but kind of the plane of your feet, if they're side by side, in the direction of your target. Okay, so it's like your front shoulder before you start to throw. That needs to be pointed along with your feet towards where you intend to throw the ball. And his, on all three of those incompletions, way behind. And you saw him overthrowing because he didn't open up, as it was explained to me, Mark Schofield, friend of the pod, that doesn't allow you to kind of follow through with your hips. You don't have this kind of hallway where you step a little bit left for a right-handed quarterback, again, just ahead of your target. So as you throw, the rest of your body comes through, and that's where you deliver it exactly where you want to go because you're getting that power and that drive from your hips and your back leg that allows you to follow through. When he's not parallel A to the target and stepping way behind him and starts to follow through, you start to overcompensate with your arm. And that's why you saw him sail a ball to Smith, Tyquan Thornton early on, and Jacoby Myers before that. So Mac, ultimately the number you need to know, I already said it, 53.6% adjusted completion percentage according to Pro Football Focus, second worst of his career. And that strips away spikes, throwaways, and drops. He's only getting the ball on time and on place half of the time, and that's just not going to cut it. In addition to the footwork stuff, there were some scheme issues, sure, and the receivers didn't help him. Sticking with the bad, Nelson Aguilar. He's going to be off this team soon when his contract expires. I would be shocked if he comes back. I was optimistic, as if you've been listening since the summer, about a breakout because I thought it was just some bad luck in his part, but he just can't get connected with Mac Jones. And when you look at the incompletion, it was that third down that after the incompletion to Smith, he has this little in route, look more like a slant. This is where the timing of the routes, when we talk about this, comes into play, where things have to be so exact, and especially in the red zone. You see Mac's reaction. He's taking his arm and kind of, whipping it over and saying, just kind of get over there, move left to right. And Aguilar gave this little hesitation move with the line. Then Mac throws, and Mick Robertson, who, again, the Patriots relentlessly picked on 7 targets here against that kid. He only allowed 1 catch. Credit to him. Gave him time to make up for that. Aguilar didn't shield Robertson off enough. It gets batted away. And that's where, between the move and the inability to kind of play like a power forward, create space with your body and shield off to give off what's just a 1-yard throw, 1 yard. That's where it starts to fall in receiving. Beyond that, downfield, he had 1 underthrown ball for Mac. Otherwise was not separating very well for a guy with his speed. You have to find a way to get open downfield. He wasn't doing it. I mentioned Kendrick Bourne, another drop. Jacoby Myers at least drew 2 flags before, the play at the end, and then had the longest gain down the seam for 34 yards and 2-point conversion. Nice little jerk route. Same route you'll remember from Julian Edelman scoring against the Seahawks in Super Bowl 49. That was, again, another game plan call and well done. But overall, Aguilar, Bourne just didn't cut it. And you can't have that. Tyquan Thornton, also 1 catch on, I think it was, 4 targets, 21-yarder, first quarter. That was it.
Hey guys, we're going to hit pause on the Patriots here for just a second to talk about something really important, and that's bedtime stories. Yes, the tales that had us feeling cozy in our bed and ready for a good night's sleep. Some of us enjoyed a fairy tale ending, maybe hitting a walk-off home run or scoring a game-winning touchdown. So why shouldn't we have the same comfortable feelings when we try to go to sleep as adults as we drift off to sleep? Because the Calm app's immersive sleep stories make falling into relaxed and restorative slumber a breeze, bringing you back to the well-rested nights of childhood and hitting those homers and scoring those touchdowns. And I'm super excited to announce we're partnering with Calm, the #1 mental wellness app, to give you the tools that improve the way you feel. For the last year plus, it's helped me reduce stress and anxiety through things like guided meditation. It helps improve your focus with curated music tracks and help you rest and recharge with those imaginative sleep stories. can work for kids or adults. There's even new daily movement sessions designed to relax your body and uplift your mind. And right now, if you go to calm.com/garden, you will get a special offer of 40% off, 40, of a Calm premium subscription where new content is added every single week. Over 100 million people around the world use Calm to take care of their minds because it is always ready on long days or short ones to help you stress less, sleep more, and live a happier, healthier life. So for listeners of this show, Pat's Interference, the best looking Patriots fans and smartest around, Calm is offering an exclusive offer of 40% off a premium subscription at calm.com/garden. Go to calm.com/garden for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/garden.
We need to talk coaching. Look, the numbers speak for themselves from a penalty standpoint. It's terrible. It's awful. You can't have this many false starts. Connor McDermott overlooked penalty inside of 3 minutes to go. You're up 24-17. False start takes you from 2nd and 7 to 2nd and 12. And this offensive line's banged up. But Stevenson had already gone for over 170. And you're not telling me that they can't run the clock out when Vegas doesn't have 3 timeouts. And yeah, it'll hit the 2-minute warning because they did it week 2 against Pittsburgh. It's a long time ago. This is a bad defense. And the plays that we just talked about were working, a lot more counter. But when you go back from 2nd and 7 after the false start to 2nd and 12, okay, you're not running that clock out. You're not getting 12 yards and two handoffs. And so those penalties go back to coaching. And everything about the mismanagement of taking 2 timeouts down to the red zone when they get there and can't score from the 1-yard line also go back to coaching. Like, this is just fundamental from Mac to the offensive line to the play calling. It needs an overhaul. And I don't know how and when it's going to happen. We're going to have plenty of the offseason to discuss that. But this game, as I mentioned, was a full-on crisis, top down. And the worst part about it was all of the work done by the coachings that led to that effort against the worst pass defense in the league. And that's all that you could squeeze out. Okay, what would NFL film say about the game that you hated most of the season? I'll keep it short and sweet. Obviously, we got the Belichick McDaniel storyline, master versus pupil. Patriots kind of getting their own way. You see Phillips slip on the touchdown. You get the pump block, which we haven't talked about, a total communication error between Phillips and Jabril Peppers, thinking that the play clock was going to get restarted or bumped on the sideline. Cam McCord and Belichick were asking it to get bumped and reset. Joe Cardona didn't get that message. And as you would do for someone who thinks the play clock's about to hit 0 in 2 or 3 seconds, snap the ball. But you have, we can't even call these unpatriot-like mistakes, right? Like this has been now 3 years of some of this stuff, and it's been worse this year offensively. But we just can't keep using that phrase because you are what you repeatedly do. And this is what they've repeatedly done now for a long time, at least post Brady. And so Patriots fall down 17-3. You get probably some of the old Belichick bag of tricks. We talked about the 2 adjustments that they made. Duggar gets the interception, totally off of film study, outstanding play by him. He probably should have been in the good section. Carr gets sacked. Then you get this montage of boom, boom, boom. He gets hit, incompletion. Here comes the punt, because that's all Vegas was doing there in the second half. Stevenson breaks through, hometown boy. Things look great. And then, of course, the horrible nightmare ending. And you get the last play, slow-mo, radio calls, probably a look at the spiral from Jacoby Myers, who just couldn't have thrown a better pass to Chandler Jones, 40 yards to the house, and you just have the whole scene in Vegas of just, probably some line about Myers and Stevenson gambling and losing it all there in Vegas in the desert. It's just too obvious, and ultimately they move on because this fake scenario, hour-long documentary that we make up, is about the Patriots, and they're going to want to get on to Christmas Eve. So, but it obviously a lot of time spent in the last play before then, McDaniels, Belichick, and then some defensive comeback because it was there, man. It was 4th and 10 with less than 2 minutes to go. I didn't even cover that. Again, the pass rush didn't get there. 2 comeback routes from Matt Collins finally gets Derek Carr going with his first rhythm of the game. Steve Belichick was really spinning the dial. I mean, you saw zone blitzes and 3-man rushes and creeper pressures, which we talked about, where guy in the line of scrimmage drops off. You get a blitzer from the 2nd or 3rd level. So it's still a 4-man rush, but creates a little bit more confusion. He was throwing everything at Carr, but Carr gets a rhythm because he's going to Hollins, who's 6'4", against Marcus Jones, who's 5'8". And then, of course, Marcus Jones, is victimized in that touchdown by Keelan Cole, was just a little bit out of bounds. which is out of bounds, over the top, because at some point, as good as you are, if you're 5'8", you're 5'8", and that's what happened in that play. Okay, on to the mailbag, and then we will be on to Cincinnati like the Patriots are. 5 questions this week. We'll start from Lawrence D, and that's Lawrence spelled like Maroney, not to bring up more terrible Patriots memories. Quote, is it time to rip the Belichick bandage off yet? Patriots have the least talented team in the AFC East, as told to us by an anonymous AFC executive a couple of weeks ago. They also give off some serious Rod Rust vibes. Ooh, Rod Rust. Look, the answer from me is no, because I understand the fervor and the fury about Belichick, and this is a poorly coached team, something we would never thought we would say, even for the lesser talented, good Brady Belichick teams of the 20 years they were together. They would beat better teams because they just did fewer of the things they're doing now. The thing is, for all this that's happened, they're still 7-7. And at the end of the year, they're going to be 8-9, I would think, or 9-8, which is exactly where we pegged them before the season. So all they've done is meet expectations. And again, the thing about Belichick coach team is you exceed expectations because of the things that you don't do, and you wait out your opponents who will just eventually give the game away. And the Patriots haven't beaten a great team since Brady left. But I think the real time to make a decision on Belichick will be next year. And I don't think the Crafts are going to make a move in the offseason, but they're going to use their third most cap space in the NFL because all parties involved are invested in being competitive. This is right towards the end of Mac Jones' rookie contract as far as spending. You need to be competitive in 2023 and be a contender. No one's going to call them that because of what we've seen here so far. And obviously they need to make a change at offensive coordinator. If Bill O'Brien is still around, just pick up the phone, get him back in here. It's for a team that stays in the family with coaching hires, there's too much that makes sense not to do that. But if they falter next year, or certainly fail to make the playoffs or have a first-round playoff exit, absolutely, I think you have that conversation about Belichick. But for now, no, I think it's a little reactionary. And look, the talent is on him. But you also look at the talent coming in, last 3 draft classes, Duggar, Anuche, and Onwenu in 2020, 2021, say we will about Mac. You still got Christian Barmore, Ramondre Stevenson. And at least now we're starting to see more from this current rookie class, which Cole Strange has been up and down. Clean sheet for 2 straight weeks, by the way, and pass protection for Cole Strange. Tyquan Thornton, Marcus Jones, I think is a hit, is a 3rd round pick. He's going to get better. Pierre Strong, flashing here. Okay, there are pieces here. There's enough here to not totally, erase or discount the rookie class. It's just that's going to sustain you. That's going to be the difference. I said this at the beginning of the year on TV. It's not a sexy take, but I said this team will go as far as your first and second year players can take them. Next year, all those players are going to be year 2 and year 3, and year 4 for Duggar, Uche, and Onwenu. That's when, okay, you've drafted well, you made your free agent additions in 2021 and 2023. If all of this fails, it's on coaching, and there's no question about it. Right now, there's still too much going on.
All right, so about 5 weeks ago, in the dog days of the regular season, we all know it's been a long year for the Patriots. I was looking around for a new supplement. I wanted something to give me more energy, help with the immune system with the flu and COVID coming back around. And I got to tell you, I found it. And I am so happy that they are now a new sponsor of Pat's Interference. It's AG1. AG1, what is this stuff? Well, it is one delicious scoop of 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens. It's new. I just learned about them. Very important. They all help you start your day right. And this special blend supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging, everything. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, or if you're dairy-free or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals you'll find in other supplements, and it supports better sleep quality and recovery, which is very important. We've had a lot of night games, folks. Perhaps best of all, in addition to all that good stuff, it costs you less than your regular cup of coffee, less than $3 a day. It's cheaper than getting coffee or any of the other supplements you might find on the shelf and have to combine them. It's just one scoop with everything you need. Plus, you know Athletic Greens is trusted because it has over 7,000 5-star reviews online, recommended by professional athletes and leading health experts. So right now, it is time for you to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. Just 1 scoop in a cup of water, or for me, a smoothie per day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/garden. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/garden to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
John Dunphy, not Dumphy, as Phil once said. John Dunphy wants to know, is the Patriots offense at the point where either Patricia has to go or Mac has to go? Feel like this cannot be successful and wonder who Belichick feels is more important moving forward. More important is Mac. I said this preseason is that, despite all of the look, back then, everybody was upset about Matt Patricia. Lo and behold, what actually happened, that Matt could still overcome that. Like that's the power of a quarterback. If you're a great quarterback, you can overcome a lot as far as a bad offensive line, timing in the pocket, certain receivers with your accuracy. We just haven't really seen that here so far. I think Patricia is an easy move. You just let him be your offensive line coach. Again, if Belichick is not going to part ways, which is something that I would do, you just let him continue as an offensive line coach, because he never should have had that job and been the de facto offensive coordinator, the two most important jobs in the entire staff on the offensive side of the ball. So I don't think it's one or the other has to go. I don't think that'll happen. Again, I would let Patricia go, but I think it's a point where they'll redirect him, put him in another job, and that's what you'll see here next season. Okay, this is from This Is My Burner. No secrets there. Okay, if we lose the next game, meaning the Patriots lose to Cincinnati on Saturday, don't you think they should give Zappe a shot against good teams to see what we have in him? Mac could be a good tradable piece this offseason. Well, first of all, if you bench Mac for Zappe, you're immediately lowering his stock and value on the market, because the teams are going to go, well, you just benched this guy. Why the hell would we want him? So I don't think that makes him a good tradable piece. And I don't think you're going to find much about Bailey Zappe in just 2 games against Miami and Buffalo, where even if he plays really well, you're looking at what, a 4, 5, if you include the end of the Green Bay game and end of the Chicago game. A 5-game sample is not going to tell you anything, particularly when it's this diluted with how much time has passed. I think when you look at Zappe, again, I've said this before, the best argument for him is he's just not Mac Jones. There's nothing about his arm talent or accuracy or processing or any part of his game that wows you. It's just he wasn't making the huge boneheaded mistakes or turning the ball over when the Patriots were at their most aggressive offensive in weeks 1 through 3. He didn't turn the ball over. Things went better. You played the Lions and Browns, okay, and they ran the ball like hell against the Packers. I don't see an argument for Zappe. I think it's great that he played well. It's great to have a good young backup quarterback. I just don't think there's any benefit here. Even if you're out of the playoffs, you need to know more about Mac Jones, if anything, than Bailey Zappe over the last couple of weeks. Okay, 2 more. Actually, make that 3 more. We'll do the quickest one first. Big Huncho wants to know, would you trade Judon for multiple day 2 picks? No. Because the salary is not going to work. You're going to take on a ton of dead money. They converted more of his base salary to signing bonus, which basically means, okay, we'll guarantee this money for you and we'll give it to you up front. And in exchange, we get to kind of tinker with our books in the back end and open up more cap space. We'll open up more cap space now and change the books later on. So no, I would not trade him for salary reasons. And B, he's your best defensive player. He's in his prime. Like I don't see a world in which the Patriots are in a better position trading a guy like that, a foundational piece, for rookies who are not going to help you do what we just talked about, contend in 2023. And that's the whole goal here. Okay, you need to finish the season strong. You can make a playoff push, but ultimately we should all be starting to take one eye around the corner to next year. You need Matt Judon around that corner. Okay, I think a better question, maybe we'll tackle this in the spring. Can you have an elite defense if Matt Judon is your best player? We'll see. Ashley, 1992. Hi, Andrew. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you, Ashley. Do you blame the lack of offense this year on Matt Patricia, O-line, personnel, or Mac, and in what order? So, Ashley, I'm sure you've heard the intro. It's on everybody. It's all bad. I would go, look, you could go 1A, 1B as far as, personnel and coaching. Let's put coaching up there first, because, again, the blunders that they're making are literally costing them games. Personnel is not good. I wrote this a couple of weeks ago about the mishandling of the offense by Bill Belichick goes beyond Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. When you trade away Shaq Mason, and this is all, in the aggregate, it's not one of these moves was completely boneheaded, but you let go Ted Karras in free agency after lowering your offer to him in the process. as a guy who could play all three spots, was a starting caliber guard and could also play center. Trade away Shaq Mason. Okay. You flip positions with Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn. You trade away Justin Huron, who had a bad summer, but has been, at least for 2+ seasons, better than Yadni Kajus. And then you have Connor McDermott signing off the Jets practice squad. Like, the personnel is bad. A lot of the moves around the offensive line have been poor. So coaching, personnel, then I would get to, what do we have here? O-line's tied into there. So O-line third, and then Mac. So Mac, the way he's built and the way he plays, can only overcome so much. He is a pocket-bound quarterback with roughly average arm talent, process as well. He's accurate, but that's a type of quarterback that's highly dependent on his surroundings, unless you are elite at those traits that I just mentioned in terms of accuracy, processing, and arm talent, which was always the most underrated part of Brady's game. That guy could always, age 25 or 42, zip it in there, and you just don't see that as much from Mac. All right, last question. Spencer wants to know, out of all the things that happened yesterday, should the most concerning thing be how bad Mac Jones looked? For a guy drafted for accuracy, yesterday is concerning. Yes, it is. And we covered this, so I guess I gave Spencer a bone there. He got his first question answered, even though he was the last one I got to here in the mailbag. So yeah, it's a crisis. We'll see how the Patriots move on from this. This should spur change, if nothing else, considering the bigger picture stakes of the playoffs, exactly how you lost, which falls on coaching. It was a boneheaded move. And it's on the players. Let me be clear. Again, this was a boneheaded play by the players. The coaching call was questionable, but that play reached its natural conclusion when Stevenson starts to get tackled and then flips the ball backwards for God knows what reason, just trying to do too much. And then Myers one-upped him, as we all saw. But ultimately, you just can't have it. And it's something the Patriots are going to have to reevaluate. They're getting in a short week. I think that helps them ultimately turn the page. But we've heard this before, and there are only so many losses you can take like this, where I think it starts to be additive in a locker room. And Joe Burrow is coming with no mercy, since he just had their own big comeback in Tampa against the Bucs and blew them out by the end of that. So this is going to be a tough test. So I hope everyone else has happy holidays. We will have one more podcast before that Bengals game. I think the NFL Network's Mike Giardi is going to come back, do some bigger picture stuff. Mike spends a lot of time with the Bills, does some Titan stuff, and we'll just kind of go around the AFC in addition to previewing Saturday's game, which, really is must win for the Patriots' playoff hopes, and what is finally, must win mathematically. Forget, everything else that we talk about here. So stuck around. Thanks for surviving. Again, always find me on Twitter @_Andrew Callahan, @Callahan at Boston Herald. I promise to get back to you with my gift to you this holiday season. So hang in there. We'll see you in a couple days.